Right, we're back after round one. Technically round two, if we're going sequential. My name is Chad.
My name is Dan. The podcast is called Afraid of the Mark.
And Chad sucks on Finn.
That was all right.
Was it?
Oh, we've had better entries.
We have, yeah.
We
That's
have.
what- I can't wait till you play it back.
It was a pretty interesting round of football.
It was.
Every team played. That was good.
off to a pearler, actually. There was some pretty interesting performances.
Mm.
I'm going to go on the record and say that despite the supporter gear you see here, we will be critical of West Coast.
Yeah.
And Port were the worst team.
What were the worst team? By
91
4 points.
91 points. Who the fuck loses by 90, right?
Yeah.
Well, Freo weren't far away if young Reed didn't step up in the third quarter.
Young Reed.
Yeah, the best Reed.
Reeds are out. Reeds are out.
Reed who doesn't want to fight
Read
everyone.
about. Oh, read about it. Read all about. That was one of the headlines from the West Australian. Fuck the dog
They
there.
are a garbage news.
The
Yeah,
best
they
one
are.
was obviously after the Port Adelaide game, start the car. That was not bad. Because Josh Carsley's going to take over. Yep.
Gotcha. Yeah. Start the car.
Yeah.
Get it.
But
Was
it's
that,
car
a,
with
was
two
that a
eyes.
West Australian?
No, I think it was
Wouldn't be.
whatever the South Australians read. If they do.
Probably,
No.
probably still all under the Herald
Did
Sun.
you say nothing?
No, I said if they read. Some
Oh,
of them do.
okay.
Not in Port
The
Adelaide.
Port supporters don't at least.
No.
Oh,
They're still in the picture books.
So I see you're wearing your winners shirt there, Chad.
Yeah, but I've still got the rest of the singlets in storage, but I don't remember why they did a collaboration with Star Wars. I don't know why they did it, but I'm happy that they did.
Probably because stormtroopers miss every time they shoot.
Oh.
It would have been a year where Adelaide weren't performing, I'm sure.
Probably the power stance year, I think. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
No, the year following the power stands, they were good.
Oh mate,
That's where it all went downhill at the power
look. Can we just
stand.
say, like, some pre-season camps, like blindfolded, loud music, and getting yelled at. Some people, that's you know.
It's a good time.
So some people call it a kink. Some people call it trauma.
Fucking hell.
It's a fine line. I know just some players played better after that. And I'm a bit worried about them, but that's okay.
I saw a post not last week after the opening round saying that the opening round made the power stance look good, and that made me chuckle a
That
little
it
bit.
did. That
Yeah.
it did. So look, I know you guys got a lot to talk about. So
Well, I got a little bit.
I'm
yeah.
just gonna highlight obviously some impressive performances on the week. Crom being one, Gold Coast highest record-breaking win for them.
Mm.
Very good to see. Daniel Rioli really.
How good does he look there as well?
man,
Yeah.
unreal.
Yeah.
And lastly Collingwood. Oh, Geelong were good. Geelong was sensational as well, but Collingwood they
It was a big bounce back for him.
big bounce back. So
Mm.
I've got something to say on that.
Go on.
I've got an apology to make
Doesn't happen often.
to Braden Maynard.
Oh.
Right.
I did
I
not
might
see
have-
this coming.
I might
we
have
did not
been,
discuss this prior.
You dropped the card.
Yeah.
I might have been a bit too aggressive and mean towards him because he was very good on the weekend and he was very actual tough.
Actual
So
tough.
maybe he listened and heard what I had to say.
Maybe he did.
But,
I didn't watch that game. I didn't watch
but-
any of the Collingwood game, I don't think.
So, Bruzzy, just to say sorry, mate.
I
I got you two things, bud.
That's
Give me your
brilliant.
address and I'll drop it off.
That's gold.
Feel free to give him a concussion just to even it out.
Shit. Imagine that he opens the door and just fucking shoulders you in the jaw.
Why is Gordon here?
Oh god.
It
Mate, good form, Finn. I appreciate
It
that.
might, my words might have been career ending, as like his hit was on Brayshaw. So I thought
Oh,
I'd
jeez.
better, do the right thing. So
Hey, good on
a
you.
bit of red and some flowers.
Love that.
You can clip that.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Real tough.
Yeah, real tough. Good that.
I
Good.
own my mistakes like a man, like a tough man.
I tongue it down and just keep fucking digging. Yeah.
Good work. Good form. Good form. You're right. There were a few good performances. There were a few shockers. But there's no point in digging too deep into some of them, I don't think.
Oh,
What rhymes with shockers? Dockers.
Hey, well,
yeah,
you made the segue.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are we doing segues still? Are we?
Well,
We're trying to.
Segues on hashtag Chadweek. Yeah.
Do we want to talk about some of the negative performances and go over them quickly, or?
Oh, I mean, there's something we don't need to talk about.
He doesn't want to talk about West Coast, but
No.
Yeah, that's fair.
but he should because it was
It was fucking woeful, to be honest.
horrendous.
Yeah. It was really poor.
We tipped him too. You and
Yeah,
I.
we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what's weird? In one of my tipping comps, pretty much all but one person tipped West Coast to win, which I thought was
For
wild.
one person.
No, in another one, my work one.
Oh,
Mm.
where he's cheating on us.
It would have been purely because it was at home. I think there would be no other logical reason to tip them apart from that. But
Man.
I didn't expect that poor of a performance.
Neither did I.
Oh,
no.
It was over in the first quarter, and
Look,
it didn't get any better.
It was over in the first 5 minutes. Let's be real. Jake Waterman kicked a goal, and then that was it. Downhill.
You
from there.
got to remember that half the coaching staff is new, and
Half the playing list is new.
and half the whole list has been completely chewed out.
Mm.
And that's not fixed over a preseason.
No.
No.
No, you can't.
What can be fixed is the lack of effort that a lot of the senior players provided.
That was the biggest thing for me. Like, I messaged both of you guys during the game. Like, towards the end of the game, I can't. Like, there's no real memory of anybody performing at all in the midfield. Like, who was actually there winning footy? Nobody.
No one.
No. And when you do start to think about the list of players that actually performed and had any kind of impact, it's Baker, it's Graham, it's Brady Hoff,
Hunt.
Jaden Hunt, Ruben Jimby.
Tim Kelly was disappointing.
Mate. Yeah.
This man was candidly talking about how I lost my love for the game.
Yeah.
Like, them fucking leave, dude.
Yeah. 100%. And you were talking about list cloggers.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Still on good money, and
Still very good money. And yeah, just not living up to his end of the bargain at this point. But, I've never kicked a footy in my life. I don't know what it's like. I don't know the pressures. But at the end of the day,
I like how you say you've never kicked the footy because admitting how far you've kicked would be more embarrassing.
I kicked it probably about 7 meters.
Yeah.
That's my backyard.
I've never kicked a footy before is a way better.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we can't play. But I mean,
No.
we're critical, and we're very, very critical.
And it's just disappointing, like in the situation that the club's in, that they've openly spoken about multiple times, you expect something of those experienced players to at least go, do you know what, get on my back and I'll fucking have a run for
But
you.
Gov can't do it himself.
No.
As I said to you, their back line, everyone, 50, 60, 70% of that back line was going hard the whole time, right?
But they didn't have a choice. They were just getting
Correct.
They were under fucking siege.
There's no one in the middle. It's, yeah.
At one point, Harry Edwards fucking had a mark taken on him by Ben King, and you see him just fucking pointing up the ground like, come on, man. Like, give me something. I can't.
one of the best hangers we've seen for a while, though.
It was great, Mark.
It really was.
Great,
It wasn't even
Mark.
that mark that got him fucking pissed off either. There was another one after.
Oh, you
that, I
can't
think.
get pissed off when someone does that. That
Nah.
was fucking sensational.
Only if you're underneath and you're like, I'm going to be in the fucking highlights all week.
Oh yeah, highlights for the wrong reasons.
But is Reed copping it on? Is it too much to put on a second-year player of how much shit he's copping at the moment in the media?
What he did on the weekend, I think. Yes, sorry. The short answer is yes, because he's in his second season, 100%. Was it guaranteed to come? Absolutely.
No.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the heat he has copped has been ridiculous, but David King's one was the best.
What did he say?
And Kingy's usually fucking got nothing good to say at all, and he just it wasn't picking on him. He was just saying he's not focused on his footy.
No, it's clear he's not focused.
All he
on
should be
his
focused on is playing.
Yeah. The problem is, like, I feel like the problem for him is, as soon as the game starts, because he's been so hyped up and everyone's like, this kid's going to be a fucking superstar.
Yeah, they're on it.
He's immediately getting attention, so then immediately his brain is distracted
'Cause
from
he's a teenager.
the footy. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Which goes to a conversation that we were having in the car. Are you happy to share your opinion that you shared with me in the car on the way here?
Yeah, if you please. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's PG, absolutely. Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. My thing is they're too young. I think any first year player who's drafted should not be allowed to play at the AFL level minimum.
For their
Because
first
I
year.
think one, they're too young physically and their bodies aren't ready for the physicality. And they need at least 1 year to play in the seconds to earn their stripes instead of being handed things.
I don't disagree with that at all, and I think that would is good for a few things, but saying their bodies aren't ready
That's what I came back.
Not for
with,
AFL level. They're still a lot more ready than they've ever been.
Some
These
of those
kids
are
are
built like brick shithouses, and
they're
you're right.
built-
Some of them aren't, and that's why they don't end up playing. But you look at like,
But then some of them do end up playing, like
Yeah.
Eric Hipwood, and 7-8 years later, he still looks like the string bean he was when he started
but
playing.
you look at like, we're still on Reed, I suppose. He was bigger than half the people he was playing with. He's bigger than everyone in the VFL. Like, he's massive.
But you can compare him with, like, say, like a bigger body who's been in the system, say, for 5 years, as well as the tanks. They can't compete with the senior side of it.
You watch that kid fend off Petrarca and Oliver in one movement in a game in his first season.
But no, but the main point is not necessarily the maturity. But you look at, say, like Ugle Hagen, who he cracked the shits he didn't get in consistently in the first 2 years of his career, and he's still got an attitude problem.
Yeah. Oh no, and I agree with you. All I'm saying is you can't blame it. Say their bodies is the reason why they're not, because some.
No,
of them,
that wasn't the main point. It's more the fact
It was
of
a bit
like
of both.
it's earning the Guernsey.
I think that's the right way to do it.
Because I think it's also unfair to pin, like, say, Harley Reid was a lot of publicity when he went number one. It's not fair in his first year to have that much hype and expectation for him to play in the first year, because like they're almost West Coast are pressured into playing him whether he's ready or not.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And that's not healthy.
And then they're also pressured into playing in round one in his second year too.
and but he's then pressured too. But you also got to think of the mindset of these young men that like they want to debut straight away because they.
But that's because that's what they've become accustomed to.
Not so much that, it's because they want a chance to prove that they belong in that. You know, like it's.
Well, that's the investment they make at the draft.
Yeah, but like
I
understand the ambition that I understand the ambition that a 18-year-old man would have. Is that like the club's taken upon me? I'm going to go out there and show them that I can do that, right?
Yeah.
And it's I agree. I do agree with you. I think 12 months in.
I think if it was part of the
State
contract, like you get drafted into the club, but your first 3-year contract doesn't start until your second year. Your first year you're contracted as a waffle player or a seconds player.
Or VFL.
Yeah.
But you want them banging down the door in the seconds to earn the chance to get in the ones.
100%. You want them
absolutely.
banging. You want them smashing through that. And not only that, is it helps uplift state team.
Yeah, 100%.
It'll improve those competitions.
The development in those teams will be unreal. Yeah.
Because it's like, well, these guys have to be here. So, and if they are as good as some of them are straight away, that'll lift the standard of that entire playing group because you've got senior players who aren't playing at the moment, or they're in a form slump, or they're coming back off injury, so they're already significantly better than your state players. But then you've got these kids who have brilliant skill sets, and so it will lift up all that. It'll do well for development in rookies as well.
You just look at some of the players it's affected, like your Hogan, your Trengoves, your Jack Wattses. Like a lot of pressure at going number one, especially at clubs who have really strong. West Coast aren't dissimilar to Melbourne, not as bad, but they're still in a similar spot. And not saying that was the main reason, but it did hamper a lot of careers.
But like you can also you look at Harry Sheasel though. He came in immediately and all he did was focus on his footy. Like even when there was the full Israeli thing and the flag and like that's his culture, that's his people. Like
that was the thing.
Not one peep from him. Just focus on footy. The rest will sort itself out.
Yeah.
Not everyone's got that level of not maturity, but he seems quite straight line. Do you know what I mean?
We don't know. We don't know him. We don't know what he's like outside of footy. We only know what he's like on the field or what the club lets you see of him. So that's all we're working off, right?
Yeah.
And he might not be mature. He might be a loose cannon, and he's a jokester at the club, and doesn't take anything seriously except
playing his game.
I
don't know. I think there's some merits to it. Obviously, there's pros and cons either way. But when you said it, I was just like, "Fuck, that sort of rings a little true."
It's earn your colours, and I think that's a big thing where it's like if you just get gifted it, especially in round one of your first season, but have you earned it?
Well, you haven't. You have, because obviously you've performed well
to be drafted.
In that sort of.
And the work these kids put in to be able to be drafted is that's the reward. So
they play like fucking state games back-to-back weekends.
Oh,
and they're like 4 or 5 days apart. And
non-stop, and
some of them playing 2 games in a weekend and
work,
shit like
the
that.
work that their families have to do to get them to that point as well. You know, like I think it's.
But if that became the norm, then you can then sort of strategize around that too as at a club level. Like you're always picking essentially 24 months in advance for what your list might look like. So you can strategize around that and
but you know what
your age profile is going to be.
The rule
in 2
would
years'
be
time.
Unless they're a top 10. If they're a top 10, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah,
but it needs to be the one size fits all. Like I
Yeah,
mean, I know there's a hurry to
agree.
get the number 1 picks in, but it's also like. Because it's a lot of pressure on the player themselves to come in and have immediate impact, which is not fair.
Correct.
And you're also not discrediting, but it's like you've got to have faith in your own systems that's going to be enough, and they'll slot in when they're ready.
I think it'd change the draft landscape a little as well, though, because
that's kind of what I mean. Because they'd be thinking 24 months in advance,
but
not about now.
Your higher picks would go to players who wouldn't be an immediate improvement to their side. Like Harley Reid wouldn't go at pick 1.
Probably not.
Because there might have been some kids in that draft who needed 12 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Who would be better. And well, we're going to take him because we know long term he's going to be much better, you know? Like it would change the landscape of that. Like Layla, he come out, number 1 draft pick, and played a monster game.
He really did, yeah.
Incredible game of footy.
Yeah. Who's that kid at the Bombers too?
Kako.
What's his name? Kako, yeah. He's going to be fucking good.
We skipped past the Tigers.
We did, yeah.
We really should.
How bad is that?
Too many games to think of. That was
back to 4 a weekend. Sorry,
jumping
2.
straight off what we were on.
Yeah.
Unreal performance.
Really was.
Stoked for all Tiger supporters.
100%.
Because I know a lot of them, and not one of them has been like. They've all been as honest about it as it is. We're going to be crap for a while.
Yep.
But we believe that they're doing the right thing by dumping and going to the draft and doing it in a strong draft and accepting the fact that
probably going to be a couple of years.
Few years of hurt, and there was no bullshit from fucking supporters that winds you up, and they got an awesome win.
Well deserved.
Good work ethic,
grunted it
and
out there.
Desire to have a W.
Yeah.
Against Beyond Blues.
Yeah.
That
Beyond
was
Blues.
depressing. Yeah.
They would have been ringing Beyond Blue after that.
Yeah.
And the fans were at least. Bloody hell.
Jesus.
That was, I thought, like, as soon as that we all tipped Carlton, I think most of Australia would have tipped Carlton. And I was just like,
I think 99% of the country did, yeah. Because it wasn't, they dumped all their good players.
Yeah.
And took
all
a mass hand in the draft. What do you think's going to happen? You've lost your...
They're left with like maybe 3 or 4 good players.
Do you know what I think is why they haven't gone down the shitter?
Go on.
Because they've still got a lot of youth in their team that's over the last couple of years, a couple of senior players, but a few seasons with Uze.
That's true, yeah.
Already, so
there's a standard
There's been a level of development for everyone who was still left in the team. Only debuted 3 players, right? So everyone else has got at least 1 season with Adam. And I think that's why it's working. Because usually when you do a rebuild like that, it's everyone's from scratch.
Do you think it's
or you've got all the players and then you bring the coach in?
Yeah, true. And try and jam a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah.
Do you think it's likely that there'll be more wins like that for them, or do you think
it's hard to say? But
shown their cards early and now
winning breeds a winning culture, and
true.
That's all you got to take from that.
Yeah. They had great energy and excitement, and as soon as they caught half a sniff they were in it, they were away.
And it was just work rate was sensational. At the end of the day, work rate is what we'll get.
Same with Hawthorn. They're going to upset just purely out of work rate.
Or they're not going to upset.
Is what will get you an 87-point loss, or will get you a cheeky fucking 15-point win.
Yeah. Well, even if you got a 15-point loss, look at no one's saying North was shit.
No, they're fucking not.
They went
North were not shit. For a minute there, I was 16 points away from fucking genius.
Yeah. Could have won it, and it's because of work rate. And they didn't, and like that, by the season's end, North Melbourne going to be a very good side.
I think Kingy broke it down well. It was like they lost it in the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. They let 3 or 4 goals through, and then that was it.
Yeah. And that's their first game for the year. It's a bit tired, like someone gets a good run on, that's it. So
yeah. And again, a whole heap of change in the off season too. Anyway,
excuse me, I'm a bit unwell, so I'm coughing lots.
The old audio spike.
Mm.
That's all right.
I've been doing that.
Yeah.
That way.
You'll end up with a stiff neck tomorrow. You'll be fucking walking in circles. All right. What do you want to talk about?
Ken Hinkley and Port Adelaide. I'm gonna.
You know, Finn loves a chat about Ken Hinkley, so this one's going to be fun.
I want to give you some stats because I did a little bit of research today. So let me get my numbers out. So let's go.
Say you can read, but then I remembered you're an Adelaide supporter.
Yeah, Crow. Yep. So so just to give you a difference between, so this is Chris Scott and Ken Hinkley's coaching record in the last 10 years, right? So Port Adelaide, going back from 2024, so they've finished 2nd, 3rd, 11th, 2nd, 1st, 10th, 10th, 5th. Geelong 3rd, 12th, 1st, 3rd, 4th, 1st, 8th, 2nd. So Geelong have been a little bit more in the 8.
Yeah.
Geelong missed finals 1 year in like 15 years straight. That's what that stat
and their
was.
lowest fucking ladder position was 13th in 30 years or something.
Yeah, so
of all time, even maybe.
Yeah, it might have been all time.
So Port have only missed the 8 extra 2 times than Geelong in the last 10 years, right?
Which is an exceptional record.
Yeah.
And there's only one premiership difference between the two teams in that period too. So, and I think Geelong's had a lot stronger list in terms of they've had Dangerfield and Selwood both in their primes with Tomahawk at the same time.
But Geelong also had heaps of extra money, so
as well, yeah. It's not the company that makes things out of cotton. But I mean, so this is what I'm trying to get at is when in terms of like they're talking about Ken Hinkley's done, you know, it's over. He's not, you know, he's probably copped a lot of shit in the media in his entire tenure there. And like I said, you take that one premiership away from Chris Scott, and would Chris Scott also be in the firing line at the moment with that record?
Chris Scott would have been in the firing line ages ago. But how many grand finals did the Cats make?
A lot.
2, 3.
A few.
But if you don't win, do we count that?
But Port haven't made it to a grand final in the entire tenure.
But I'll give you another stat because I found this in.
You just pointed out a ladder position that was quite significant in that.
There was a lot of 8th, 7th, 6th.
And there was a big number 1 in there, right?
Yeah.
And they still didn't make a grand final, right? That level of domination, right? It's pretty uncommon for the team to finish first, not to make the grand final. There's a few cases where there's chokes. The Freo 2015.
That cough is bad.
Yeah. But like it's pretty usually one of your grand finalists will be the team that finished first on the ladder, right?
Another interesting stat. So 2014 was probably Port's best year under Hinkley. They were 1 kick away from a prelim. If Hodge didn't smother that ball in the last minute and a half, history could have been very, very different and derailed Hawthorn's dynasty.
Weren't they put out of it by West Coast in 14? Oh no, sorry, that was
15? No, that was 17.
16.
Yeah, the year before the premiership.
Yeah,
they did it.
It was 17.
It would have been 17.
They did it to them 2 years in a row. One was in a final and one was in a... Oh, so it might have been 17. Actually.
17 was the Shuey free kick, yep.
No, 16 was a Shuey free kick. That was a final. 17 was a McGovern free kick.
Flower bag.
And that was finals. But West...
I feel like that was premiership year.
It could have been premiership
17 and 18. Shuey in 17.
No, 16 was one of them. I remember where I was watching that game.
I remember where I was. I was walking in the rain to the Aqua Jetty.
Yeah. That's depressing.
Yeah.
Watching
it on
sorry,
the phone.
I'm derailing no. I'm sorry.
So whenever that 2014 year, that was a great year for Port. Like I said, they were inches away from a Grandy. And I reckon they would have probably gone on and knocked off Sydney in that year as opposed to Hawks. But they didn't. No, they didn't. Make it. But just to give you an idea of the coaching structure between now and then, because I thought this was like in terms of the talent Hinkley had around him. So Director of Coaching and Strategy in 2014, Alan Richardson, who's a master tactician. The Sandford coach was Gary Hocking. The midfield manager was the late great Phil Walsh. Josh Carr was still the midfield coach. Forward and offense coach Tyson Edwards. Back and defense coach Matthew Nix. Development coach Stuart Cochran. That's a hell of a
great coach.
That's a great cast to be around you. Now you look at so this is Port Adelaide's coaches now. So obviously the Hinkster's still there.
Stinkster, yep.
Chad Corns is the forward coach, who was the defence coach 2 years ago, and he never played forwards. That's intriguing. Josh Carr was still the midfield coach. He still is. Tyson Goldsack's only been a defensive coach for 2 or 3 years. There's nowhere near as much talent around him as what he was back in the prime of the Port Adelaide. Like, you know, it's a lot of talent to lose around somebody.
I'm gonna
Because I know it's not just the head coach who makes it's generally speaking who you
It's
put
the whole
around
coaching team. Yeah, one man does not make a team. We've said that many a time before. But
that's an issue.
one thing that I said to you when you first mentioned this in the car was about win percentage of games.
Yeah.
Ken Hinckley's winning percentage is 60.2%.
Mhm.
Pretty good.
Chris Scott's win percentage is 67.8.
That's the highest.
67.8.
He dethroned Ross Lyon.
Did he?
Yeah.
And there's
Roger that.
I remember
one
when it
premiership
happened.
difference between the two.
But
Even with that-
multiple grand finals
The grand
appearances.
Yeah, but
finals.
unless you,
opportunities
I
to-
get that, but unless you've got the cup, history doesn't
Yeah, but
remember second best.
Ken Hinckley hasn't given them a chance to
to
win
even
the
get
cup.
the cup.
That's the whole point. That's what
Yeah.
that's what the issue is.
Mm.
It's almost, and there's a recurring pattern there, right? They want Ken gone. Ken gets them up to finals. They re-sign the contract. They choke in finals, and that continued for a lot of years, right? What should have happened, right, is all right. Kenny's game style isn't taking them the whole way. We need someone else who can take this sensational playing group that has now dwindled with age and all the A-listers have gradually dropped off it and make that extra push.
But I don't think they can do that with the current coaching style. Because the only thing that's going to change is Josh Carr goes up, and then someone, unless he wants to change.
But the problem is they shouldn't have done it internally. They should have brought someone in when all these good coaches were floating around asking for opportunity. They've missed a lot of good options to do that. Look at who's the best coach in the game right now.
You'd have to say, I reckon Kingsley for mine.
Or Fags.
Oh, of course, yeah. Fags
And
is
both
better.
could have been options to be head coach at Port. Right now. Now, Fags has been at the Lions. If he'd gone to Port Adelaide at the time, he would have won Port 2 flags already.
Possibly.
Because they were over it's 6-7 years he's been at Brisbane now.
Yeah, it'd be about that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's when Port were probably at their prime. If they'd got rid of Ken then, like they should have, this is really when it should have been. You've been a great coach, but we need to try something else. They would have won. They would have at least got the opportunity to play.
Yeah.
Adam Kingsley could have had him.
But even like what just one, because we're talking about like, great coaches, but it's also who they put around them. So like this is back during Clarko's prime when Hawthorn were the three-peat. So assistant coach, this is insane.
Yeah,
Brett Ratton.
This is mental, yeah.
Brendan Bolton.
Yeah.
Cameron Bruce. Adam Urze. Damien Monkhurst. Damien Carroll. David Neitz is the key position coach. That is a star-studded lineup.
Where was that?
That was Hawks during the three-peats.
Was it? I'm sure.
Well, I mean, there's some pretty handy.
Wasn't Bevo there?
Bevo.
He was there. He wasn't there the whole way through, but he was there on one or two of them. Yeah,
because he had
Adam Simpson was
Dimmer,
there,
Adam
yeah, Damien Hardwick.
Simpson, Luke Beveridge, and he produced
Chris
four.
Fagan.
And Chris Fagan, yeah, he produced 4 premiership coaches out of that three-peat era. So that list is probably not. That would have been for one.
may have changed a
specific
bit
year.
every
probably
now and
for
then,
one
but I mean, like
season,
just to have 1 year, that's an incredible amount of
It is
support for the players.
Yeah, of course it is. But like, there's also clubs that don't have that level of support.
Well, that's what I mean. Like you look at, I went through all the assistant coaches at the moment in the system, and like they're not far removed from their playing careers. So like a lot of them haven't even got the experience as a coach, and I think it's an issue.
Do you think it's visible in the way the game's played?
I think so. Like you look at because I think we also spoke about the terms of the only person who's ever made St Kilda and Fremantle relevant is Ross Lyon.
Yeah,
and the administrations and the boards have been the issue with those clubs for a long time, and he's got that personality where he will tell, and like that was back when Peter, like Sumage, Kirk, and Ross Lyon were all there.
Yeah,
and that level of experience he's still a team that was still average. And took him as far as anyone was ever going to take him. Same with St Kilda. They've been a basket case of a club for
64 years, 65 years.
They even left about the advertising, and there was the 100 years of whatever it was. They didn't show St Kilda once. I can't remember. It was one advertisement ad. Yeah,
that's funny.
But I mean, then you look at who Ross Lyon had around him at that time as well, and it's like without that support to the coach, it's an issue. So if the coach is failing to a degree,
I'm not disagreeing with you, but the Port's issue has been their game style, and I highlighted it to you guys in a chat when they were playing.
You did. And it's not the first time that you've highlighted that either. It's something that you've spoken about for multiple years. Even when you and I were sitting here doing this, just you and I without Chad, it's something that you've always had something to say about their game style, the way they play, and how they operate.
Like they're legitimately going backwards before they went forwards every time, and that just adds insane pressure. I understand the concept. You want to create space.
Yeah,
you're looking for good switches.
But the game's not played that way right now.
Correct, and it hasn't been played like that way
since 2015-16 probably.
Yeah, like maybe a bit later than that. Like, but it's you're just putting pressure on your backline, and then they've recruited poorly. They had a sensational list, and they've continued to recruit in the wrong areas from that point onwards.
So at that point, it doesn't matter who your assistant coaches are or who's coaching what department, what line, or whatever, because if you've got a shit list or you're not set up for the way the game's
played. When
played.
you've got a coach who plays his favourites, like Ross Lyon did, I play my boys' club, right? Like Port should have had a new forward line 8 years ago.
But he's just insisted on keeping Charlie Dixon there, kicking him out on the full. So, I don't know.
Even St Kilda, the last 8 years, their recruitment's been highly questionable. Well, now a lot of them have left anyway, so all that rebuild, it's gone.
They're rebuilding again. Rebuilding on the rebuild. I don't know, man. I think, like, personnel across an entire club, as with anything, I guess, it's hard to get it right 100% of the time and know that you've got the right people in the right roles. So,
it takes a lot to go right. Like,
it absolutely
but
does.
It's just interesting to see the landscape of assistant coaching at the moment. It's very, very young.
Yeah, but to your point about some of them being that young, like you've also got Sam Mitchell as a head coach coaching a team who's only 5 years out of the game himself, 5 or 6 years out of the game himself. So doesn't necessarily it would be. He doesn't necessarily have to be. You don't have to be an old man. You don't have to be a boomer to.
But do you have to have played footy? This is something that I find.
Chris Fagan, he didn't play AFL footy, did he?
I think he can get away
in the Tassie League, but
but he's old. Like there wasn't AFL when he was. Like it's not. But like Brendan Bolton didn't, and he was a terrible coach. But strategically, he was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, same with Neil Craig. Never played a game, did he?
But do you think
I've never played a game? I reckon I could.
I reckon I'd be a fucking good coach, right? Like, and I don't mean I couldn't be a head coach.
No,
not at all. But I mean I could be a good coach in whatever area it is and whatever you think you understand. Like it goes back to the Brendan Bolton thing. Is like
you just got to understand how to get
strategically
good out of people.
Yeah. But I think maybe you've highlighted something here, Chad. That what if there's no respect from the playing group because they think you're too young, you haven't done this long enough, you don't. What the fuck would you know? And especially when you got young blokes with big heads and.
I think you can very quickly snap that opinion out of people, though. Leadership, in my opinion, isn't something that you like learn and do. It's something that you are.
You
like
can or you can't.
Yeah, like you have to have a certain. I fucking hate to use this word because it's been all over fucking footy media this week, but you have to have a certain aura and a certain ability to be able to control a room. I know, right? It's so annoying that that's the way my sentence went. How much time have you been spending on
TikTok, mate?
Mate, I literally never used it in my life. But that's beside the point.
You're talking like you do. I was going to say, why don't we have TikToks up yet?
Mate, Robbo's going to give us hate mail now.
Speak to your social media fucking guru over there. But no, the point is, I that's what I think. You can teach leadership techniques and the ability to talk to people and to convey a message, but excuse me, the only way someone's going to get on board and follow you is if you output a certain energy that they vibe with and they feel and they go, okay, this is the guy I need to follow. He's onto something.
Well, so the head coach is generally just the head of the party. It's almost like politics, where like if you're smart, you put good people around you, and you've got to be the face of it.
But it is their game plan, and that is the one point about Port Adelaide. Is his game plan.
They implement the head coach's game plan.
His game plan stinks. His processes stink, and the things that he tells his coaches to do, doesn't matter how good a coach is, they're still taking instruction from the man at the top. Right now, like a lot of coaches probably leave a lot of freedom to their assistant coaches. The curriculum might be what you want it to be, but the end result needs to be I want this.
Yeah.
And that's why there's so much heat on Ken, because what he wants has been bad for a long time, and he's been blessed with good assistant coaches and a good playing list. But as you see that playing list starting to dwindle, the performance of the team's going to drop as well.
And that's why there won't be heat on Chris Scott, because the game plan has got them to the very, very pointy
Well,
end
he develops it
multiple
every
times.
year.
Yeah,
he
it chops and it
adapts with
changes.
time, and he
adapts with the playing list
Yeah.
too. As like your Selwoods and your obviously Dangerfield in, but Selwoods come out. Things have had to change.
People said when he's gone,
Ablett's
they're
come
going
out,
to
things
fall
have had to
apart,
change.
and it just constant fluid motion in that football club. Like it's
Is that an ability also to be able to Geelong find it easier to attract players as opposed to like say your Ports and your Crow, like
well,
they're not necessarily destination spots?
if you're a country footballer, you grew up in a country town, and they say we're going to give you a farm and we're going to pay you $200,000 from somewhere else, and you're going to. I'm being silly, but it's a fucking thing, right? Like,
Yeah, it is.
How would you like clothes made of cotton? Yeah,
and come to our country town,
yeah,
where you can have all this stuff and you don't have to worry about it, and just focus on your footy in a small. How much time you spend in country towns? You spend more than a week there straight, and everyone knows you and they love you, and they're good people.
Yeah.
And every country town's the same. Now Geelong is a city essentially, but it still is regional Victoria. Right? It's still got a country feel to it, so it's very easy to entice players like that. If we sat Mr. Reid down right now and
Which one?
said
Rio?
the strong one, the tough one,
Yeah,
you sat him down and said if you had any choice of a team in Victoria, who would it be? The only one that's going to offer him a similar lifestyle in Melbourne than what he can have here and back in his country home is Geelong.
It's gonna be Geelong, yeah.
Is going to be Geelong. No questions about it, right? They don't even have to wave a big pay packet around in front of him. Here's a good salary that you're going to, here's your 1.2. Here's your farm.
But does that make it harder? So say like the way Geelong recruit because they are that destination, and say if it's because there's less 5G towers, less chance of COVID, for example. If we go, so like
Still made them get jabs, mate.
The players they've attracted, like say
what a
your
time.
Jeremy Camerons, your Bailey Smiths, your
They're all
Dangerfields,
country
like
boys.
they are, but like Port Adelaide don't have that attraction power. So as much as that has helped Geelong to a degree,
And also they don't play finals.
Yeah. And
Port Adelaide.
Port Adelaide,
they've been pretty consistent over some of the other teams.
They
in the
lose
league.
every time they get there. That's the whole fucking point. It's like, but Geelong consistently win, and it's like every single player in Geelong's list, young or old, if they weren't drafted, if they were drafted since I don't know 2 years ago, everyone on that list played a grand final.
Yeah.
But is that,
Yeah, they have.
But say if you can at least feature in the top 8, top 4, right? And the difference between
And
saying going out
lose.
going out in a prelim or going out in a grandie, like is that not? I don't say like there's always an element of luck of how you rock up on the day, but is it also the team you get paired with in terms of game styles clashing that also gets you a little bit further depending on how the fixtures fall whenever you get to the pointy end.
No, I can't get behind that because by the time you've got to that point of the season, you've worked out your opposition. You know what game style they're going to rock up with. So there is no game styles clashing. It is head-to-head play in the game.
Yeah, play your way. Your way should stack up.
And then when it does, you win it, and when it doesn't, you.
The only time you see game styles change is generally by a team that needs to stem the bleeding when they're getting belted by an opposition, and the coaches will move the pieces, or you're in an arm wrestle and it's like you got to do something
you need to up the levels somewhere or whatever
to break away from it. That's usually when you see alterations in game, but otherwise stick to it. The reality is the game style wasn't suitable. Yeah, most teams will wear them down. You find openings and away you go. But as soon as you get someone who's high pressure, and the last 8 years of footy has been high pressure.
It sure has. Seems to just be getting more and more too.
Correct.
It's so fast.
And
which sort of leads me to a point that I wanted to talk about if you're happy to move on from that.
We could spend ages talking about Geelong's cheating, but
we could. We could spend ages talking about this too
Even
because
this is made of cotton.
yeah, don't know. I'm not so sure.
Polyester.
Yeah.
The weird West Coast shop at football shop at Queen Vic Markets in Melbourne. I highly doubt there's any cotton in that.
No.
It's probably highly flammable too. To be
Yeah, 100%. I took
Synthetic.
the lighter out of my pocket and put it on the floor just in case. Yeah, that's what I wanted to sort of lean into is I would not want to fucking umpire this game. Like,
I would.
Nah. I think this is what we're watching.
I'd
is
prefer
probably,
to be an umpire than have a job.
Well, the thing is, you can't be an umpire and not have a job, right? It's a part-time gig.
Well, that's because they want to make more money. But I mean, the money that a field umpire makes is good enough to live off. Like,
Do you reckon?
yeah, they make 120 grand a year.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
No way.
Field
Yeah.
umpires, yeah, they do. And
Do
goal
they
umpires
really?
make 60 to 80 grand a year.
Yeah.
Really? Right. Okay then. Well, that kind of fucks up what I wanted to say because I was kind of justifying.
Shouldn't you have done your research first? I mean, if you want more in life, then yeah, you can work too, but you're paying more in tax.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. No, what I was going to say is, oh fucking hell, 120 to 132,000 a year. Right on. I was thinking.
Makes you want to give up smoking, doesn't it?
Yeah. No shit. I couldn't run 20 meters. Never mind 20 k's right now. What my thought process was when I started to read through the AFL laws and the handbook and the rules, I would not want to have to make these decisions. I feel like there's not enough money in the world that would make me be able to retain that information and make these decisions so quickly.
But you watch the game,
Yeah.
and you're lying to yourself. You watch a game and you go, "That's ball. That's not holding
Yeah,
ball.
true. And essentially
That's a
do it for
bullshit
free.
call," and you do it for free.
Yeah.
Everyone does it because once you understand the game
Yeah.
and you understand the rules and how to adjudicate it,
I just think it's fucking
you've
wild.
subconsciously
the
learned exactly how to
inconsistency.
do their job, right?
Well, yeah.
But this, I'm critical, always fucking critical.
Yeah.
But I've seen some on the weekend, and it's like, well, that's a blatant free,
Yeah.
and there's not one umpire in view of it.
No.
So, like, of course you're gonna miss it. And we sit on the couch and watch it, or we're at the game, and if there's an umpire's not standing in front of it,
You do get a better view, obviously, on the couch when you're watching on TV.
because the camera's looking where a set of eyes is.
Yeah, exactly that. But it's fucking wild. The amount of decisions that they're having to make and the speed at which they're having to make them, especially as the game is building up in terms of pressure and things like that. It's fucking insane to me. And
That's why do you think they added a fourth person on the field?
yeah, that makes sense. I think they need another 4. Holding the ball doesn't make sense. Right. It seems like you can just throw the footy these days and nobody gives a shit.
I saw so many throw calls on the weekend when they were handballs, and I was like,
That's how the Bulldogs
I
won the
saw so many of the
2016
opposite.
Premiership is throwing it. Yeah.
I saw so many of the opposite, where they were throwers and it was just fucking play on, no worries. And this fucking not 15 thing, like, it's driving me fucking batshit crazy.
because that has been so wrong.
So wrong so many times.
I'm all for pinging them on it.
Yeah.
But
consistency.
Yeah.
I'm
was-
for
Well,
consistency.
just when it's right and when it's not right. Like, there was one.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Um,
where the consistency comes from. If they're going to pay it when it's right and not pay it when it's fucking not
Yeah.
right.
Well, they have rule of the week, and then they overcorrect.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's too much. Then
But
we crack the shits.
They don't overcorrect consistently either, because
Yeah.
what's 15 meters in one game is fucking not 15 in another.
The
Or
worst
what's
thing is you imagine
fucking
someone's
madness.
Thursday night they've umpired on the MCG, Friday night they're at Etihad.
Yeah, totally different
And
size
they're
oval and
using-
your
they're
estimation, your
using
guidelines.
oval as reference
Yeah,
points,
yeah,
arcs as reference points. I seen I spied it yesterday, in the Gold Coast versus No One game. Dewar kicked it. Dewar was doing the kicks out, wasn't
he did have a couple,
he?
yeah,
He kicked out to Gov,
and immediately was called to play out.
called to play on,
Yeah.
and like I know that ground.
Yeah,
But if you'd been at Adelaide Oval and you were like, well, that wasn't 15 there, you're gonna say it's not 15. But
it fucking is.
Optus is very similar to MCG in a way, where it is wider, but it is longer than the G, right? So it was 15 meters, and the next kick after was someone standing on the 50 line, and because they've got a reference point that's 50 meters, that one was probably only 10, and
Yeah.
the first one was fucking
It seems like
25.
they're only hot to pay it when it's coming out of a back 50 too. When it's a kick from a 50-meter line inside 50, they'll pay the mark, and someone gets a shot at the goal.
But it's the same with like,
Yeah.
say if there's 5 minutes to go in the forward, what do you call that thing? The D or the 50-meter arc? Unless they're holding the ball as blatantly
Have you ever watched this game before?
Yeah, just playing pool, mate,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
in the D.
Call it the D.
I was at Bob Murphy's AFL M,
What's that?
SJW, AFL Men's League. That's how they say it on the ABC now.
No way.
Yeah.
He's gone full hipster.
Yeah, right.
There's not a trace
Okay.
of. There's not even a trace of natural milk anywhere near his coffee. It's all almonds. But no, you would have taught like the rule interpreter. It's so like say in the last 5 minutes, it's 1 point.
How do you milk a nut? An almond?
Pour water over it.
What? Do you really?
The
how
almond
they-
milk is literally just a tray of almonds that they wash water through, and then
What?
they just soak them, and then everything in the bowl is what you
Did
drink.
you say how do you get nut milk? Open your mouth. I'll show you. You dropped your card. No, just to,
Good one.
but like say like yeah, say it's in the forward. Say you're 10 meters from goal. The umpires like say it's like a prelim. If the umpires will not call a free kick unless it is blatantly obvious that they can't not
I
pay
love
it. If
that,
it's 50-50, yeah, but if it's 50-50, they won't call it.
No.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the rules being hard to interpret. It's different times of the year where they change the
Isn't that
the rules.
crazy?
Well, I mean, this is a good segue. Let's keep doing segues. There was a collision in the Western Bulldogs North Melbourne game. Now, everyone's seems to be very 50-50 on their interpretation of who's in the wrong and who's in the right in terms of like, it wasn't even ruled as a free kick on either way, even though one came in sliding at the legs and the other one came in and got concussed. And yet Michael Christensen somehow gave that person 3 weeks, even though you're not supposed to slide in and take the legs, which he did knock the legs of Zed player in the North Melbourne
Said player was also pushed into that contest.
by an opposition player as well. So
there's a whole comedy of errors that led to
So Archer
that
got a
and no free
3-week
kick.
ban, and he literally couldn't have done anything else. Someone took his legs out, and the person who took his legs out was pushed into it.
Yeah. That's
and
fucked
he got
up,
3
isn't it?
weeks for someone headbutting his knee.
but
Wild.
does that mean the bump is like, I know that they're trying to get rid of the bump, but if you
They've
put
been slowly but surely trying to
If
ramp
the-
up
no,
the
see, 'cause the-
adjudication around it for sure.
No one, in that instance, there shouldn't be a suspension for anyone.
No, like same as there wasn't a free kick
Because
called
there
at the
was
time for anyone.
Because it's the bump's fair, right? And you can't stop yourself in that instance when
No.
it's happening. But what they
But then
wanna get
could
rid
Maynard
of-
have
they
stopped
wanna-
himself from bashing straight into Brayshaw?
That was different. He like,
How was it? He
literally-
was already like in the air, and we discussed this at the time
Yeah,
too.
but he turned into it.
Okay.
He was
Yeah.
standing on the ground, and someone got pushed into his knee. Like, was he meant to jump over them? Like,
Yeah.
but you put it to the point though, because it's like, who do you fault where it's like, all right, one player's put their head down, and as soon as you put your head down,
You
you're
ruled out.
exposing yourself.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
But-
that's why you can't get. You put your head down and get high freezing. Like,
No, exactly.
And then if
this
you
will
gotta-
get
yeah.
overturned in tribunal. I'm fairly confident this will get thrown out.
If
Well,
it,
they-
do-
obviously they'll
if
contest
it
it,
doesn't
yeah.
though, does that set a precedence for the year of how players are going to attack the footy moving forward?
No, players
They
do
still want to
not-
protect their own head as much as
Yeah.
fucking possible, and their mates as well. You
Yeah.
know.
It's not going to change anything, and they're just going to accept bans, right? As opposed to like arguing. Or what's going to start happening is, and this is good when they brought in the rule that you got the clubs just had to pay money for a tribunal hearing, because it used to be you'd get 3 weeks, 2 on an early plea, for example.
Yeah.
Right? If you challenged it and you didn't get it, they gave you the 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So, and
Now it's like if you challenge it and it doesn't get overturned at all, you walk away and no worries.
you just pay the fee. The
What's
club
the fee?
pays the fee. Or I think it changes depending on what the thing is, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
so that was brought in for a reason. What was the reason? No one was told, but I know it's because half the time you have to go to the tribunal just to get the bullshit lifted.
Yeah.
But the AFL has to have someone independent making these calls. But Michael Christian is not the right person to do it. And they haven't been able to move him on because if they did, it would look like they are. There's a level of corruption or whatever because they've listened to other people's pressure to take him out of it because he does it wrong.
Yeah.
Rock in a hard place.
Yeah, it is.
In a sport where
So the only option they've got at this point is to overhaul it again and bring extras in.
Well, you brought up
create a panel again.
Yeah, and leave him in the panel.
you're right.
Yeah, leave him in the panel and then phase him out
Correct.
slowly. Yeah.
Because what you brought up in the coverage is was just before we started. So the game, the rules, they're rules, not laws.
Mm.
So if whenever
Depends on what you read, but carry on.
it is, but say like, so whenever you're going before the tribunal, and if there are only rules, they're not, like I said, it's not a law, it's a rule of a game. Why should you be allowed to have legal representation if it's a rule? Because in terms of, they're not fighting, you're combating the terms of the perception of what the rule is. It's got nothing to do with legal.
I think the legal point is so someone can coherently express the point using words that cannot be misinterpreted.
Yeah.
And information cannot be skewed.
That makes sense.
That's the only reason why
to take the grey out of
correct,
it and make it completely
is
black
because,
and white.
and I don't know if you've ever had any legal proceedings before, Chad, but it is very...
This is not Confessions with Chad. Keep your mouth shut.
No, like, all forms
That's
of...
your other podcast.
all forms of law, it's the same. It is very... There's no grey. It is black and white. This is it. This is what it has to be. And I think that's the whole point. At first I was like, why you got lawyers? Why you got lawyers? My opinion's
Fucking
only changed
barristers
after
and shit, like not just
after-
little league lawyers. Like
after having to deal with legal proceedings. It is very much like you need that person to talk to for you. You need someone to. Imagine if you're not a prim and proper person. Like a lot of footy players aren't. Imagine Toby Green.
This
Toby
goes back
Green
to what
trying
we were
to
saying
defend
about them
himself.
being like sucked into the system so
We
young.
used to have a
right?
club
And then-
representative who spoke well, but I mean, like the thing is, like you're combating a rule, not a law. So it's not about.
Depends what you read.
But it's not. They're
Yeah.
not. They're not going into a court of law. They're just having people who can discuss it clearly,
yeah,
concisely.
But then you get the silly things where it's like, oh, this person's of good character. It's got nothing to do with the character. It's based
I
on
don't
what you
think
did
they'll make
at
that
the
mistake
time.
again.
Like, yeah, was
Like,
it?
I don't think they will make.
You have
that
to
mistake
isolate
again.
everything. Like I said, in terms of like the same with the Toby Green effect, people just assume he's guilty now. And like, I'm not saying he didn't. You know, he was a bit funny in his early days, but he hasn't been that player for a long time.
Yeah, but look, let's be honest. He was getting stung for things that weren't. There's been rules made around him.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't doing anything wrong. Like it's, I'm really passionate about this because Toby Green has. I don't think he has a negative bone in his body. Right?
No.
It's only he's only.
I mean, I don't
paid-
know the guy, but
Well,
from
it's
what I
pretty
do know
hard
of
to
him,
tell,
seems like a pretty good
like
bloke.
as a very genuine, kind man,
Mm.
right? But because he got in a fight at the start of his career, and he cost him a lot of money because someone got hurt, and he spoke to Hamish McLaughlin recently about it, like last week, and it was good to hear Toby's perspective on it after all these years, right? Is that like I was a kid and I was dumb and I still didn't think I'd done anything wrong right up until I was standing in court.
Yeah.
Because to me it was just a couple of guys having a scrap. And that's what it was. But because of that, people just thought he was an animal. He's out to hurt people, he's out to get people, and he never was. He was a kid playing footy who was just really good at fucking playing hard. Like the knees and kicks to people's chests. They weren't Toby karate kicking anyone.
He was just going the ball.
He was
and it is
launching
what
off
it is.
people to take fucking
Yeah.
marks. But he,
Yeah.
like, traditionally, you launched off their back. Or he's like, I'm going to fucking launch off the front of you. Like, you're
Just
running
gonna
at me.
launch, yeah.
I need to get higher.
Yeah.
It's this in that split second thing, people are like, oh, he's out trying to kick people off the ball.
What's more dangerous, going up in someone's back of their head with their knee or doing that? What's more? Yeah,
It's a great
Fuck,
question.
yeah.
It's a
Great
great
question.
question. And then, what's more dangerous for someone's career? Going for that ball or not going for that ball?
Well, generally, when you pull out, it usually ends worse.
When
like,
you get
yeah.
a fucking highlight of Toby Green's knee pushing you off your chest, and then he's got one hand, he's been able to reach the ball,
And he's reeling it down, yeah.
unreal.
Yeah,
Oh,
100%.
but Toby,
But it
if
wouldn't
any
be a
other-
highlight if he, obviously, it wouldn't be a highlight, but if he'd have never made a decision to go for a ball like that, he wouldn't be half the player
No.
or character
And
that he is within the AFL.
But because he'd had a fight as a teenager
Hmm.
and someone got seriously hurt, oh, no, he's just out to hurt people.
Mm.
And he's still got that stigma today, but not from spectators, purely from AFL hierarchy.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. I don't know. I think we've touched on a lot of topics there. What riled you up this week?
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you've chimed in a little bit across a few of them subjects, but anything in
No.
particular?
I too much heartbreak.
Yeah.
It's more focused on shit posting this week than I was.
Yeah, fair
anything
enough.
else.
Fair enough. Anything else that you wanted to talk about, or should we move on and do the tip?
We can talk about the tip.
We can talk about the tips.
There's you and I are on 6 for the so far, and Finney's on 7, so there's only we're pretty
Ah.
close.
We're all level then,
Wow, how do you figure?
because I got 1 in opening round and you guys got 2.
Are you talking about the round just gone? Or
No,
overall?
overall.
I
yeah.
tipped 7 in round just gone.
Did you?
Yeah, 'cause you got none in the first round, though.
I got 1 in the first.
I can't. Let's look at the ladder.
I'm sure it was 7, and then we were 6.
Finn's on a total of 8. I'm on 7. You're on 7.
All right, maybe
So you
Okay.
guys only got 5 this week.
Yeah.
yeah.
Losers.
Silly West Coast. What was the other silly division?
I
we
went
played?
North Melbourne.
Oh no, that wasn't mine. I
And-
went someone else that was silly. I can't remember now. It was it was better than.
I went North Melbourne, Port, and West Coast, and that was very silly. Oh, and Carlton, but Richmond obviously won it.
Yeah.
Jeez, I'm off on my margins though.
Yeah, I was nowhere near the march.
I'm worse than our
Fucking hell,
comp. for
98
margin.
you
I
are,
said
yeah.
Carlton by 40 points, and that was nowhere near it.
Jesus. No, it wasn't. Well, this week, have you done them?
No. I said I was going to do them tonight, and I've completely forgotten.
Unbelievable.
Well, I've
Well,
done
gonna be
mine,
some
so
hard,
I'll
like-
tell you what mine are real quick.
I'll run through mine first, or
You can go first if you want.
gotcha. I got Hawthorn by 22. I got Collingwood. I got Adelaide. I got Port. I got Geelong, Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney.
Sweet, we got 1 different.
What's the difference?
I've got Hawks by 20.
Oh,
Collingwood. I've gone the Bombers.
have you?
Right. Only because, and I'm testing the waters here, because we don't know if Adelaide I said it in our chat, are they flat track bullies or are they here to play?
We're
So,
about to find out.
and Essendon will absolutely be screaming to get a W now, because if they don't, it's going to get real bad for them real quick.
Yep.
So, I think they'll be coming with some heart.
Good thing they just signed their coach on for another year.
Yeah, I went Port, because they will be flat track bullies hands down. Would love to see the Tigers get another W.
Yeah,
That'd be
that
awesome.
would be great.
Geelong, Brizzy, Melbourne, Swans.
Fair. Jaddles.
All right, so I've gone Hawks.
Bye.
I'm going to go. I'm not by much. I'm going to go 13 points.
Fair.
So I still think Carlton will be formidable, but just the way they played last week doesn't fill me with confidence. Why is that funny?
It's not.
You carry on.
Just
Okay.
Just do your thing, man.
We've got Collingwood. I'll back the Crows in that we can. I think we're enough for the Bombers. Port Adelaide, Geelong, Brisbane, Melbourne, Swans.
Mm.
So you and me are the same then?
You would be the
Exactly the same. Very good.
Same. Very good.
I would be more tempted to tip Freo at home, but like not after that display.
Yeah,
No.
I just don't think I could do it right now. No.
Wouldn't catch me tipping them.
Vanilla footy, mate.
Wouldn't
Not
catch
with
me.
big
Wouldn't-
cocks in the old box coaching.
Wouldn't catch me tipping West Coast either.
Nah, not again.
No, I think I've no.
I've fucking been,
Definitely not at home.
gentlemen.
been burnt by that.
Lesson learned.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I had to back them, and I really thought that they were going to come out a lot hotter than they did and play some forward half footy, but they just fucking did not. So, you know, we'll see what happens by the end of the year. They might win a couple, but at this point, I doubt it now.
Yeah. Is
And-
that why you didn't want to put your hat on?
What hat?
The hat that I had on your microphone?
Is that for me?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even see it. That's a sick hat.
We're gonna put bets on when Longmuir gets knocked out of Freo.
No, I do want to put my hat on.
Four rounds if he doesn't get any W's.
Yeah, I reckon by round 10 or 11 there'll be a decision.
Too late.
Going on.
Nice.
Fuck yeah. Thanks, bro.
Oh, good.
I appreciate that.
Well, I'll see you guys next week.
Will do. Afraid of the mark.
See you then.